Yeah, Joey Porter.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, January 7, 2019. Today is a caucus. Got a scheduled 5:30 p.m. start. This clock on my cell phone is showing 6:19 p.m. Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
Roll call, Councilperson Ridley. Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano. Here. Councilperson Young.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Robertson.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
Councilperson Waterman stepped out. Okay. Council President Navarro.
Here.
And we have 8 council members here present. The agenda of this meeting was disseminated on Thursday, January 4th, 2019 at 4 p.m. to the Mayor, Council, Business Administrator, and the newspapers and the World Wide Web, so we can certify for total compliance of the Sunshine Law. Council Press.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. Let's begin just by, first of all, congratulating and publicly here to Mayor Fulop and Jackie Fulop on the birth of Jackson James Fulop on January 3rd, I think it was. So congratulations to the Mayor. Anyone want to offer their public congratulations on television?
Congratulations.
So let's get started and get Michelle Massey out of here. Thank you, Michelle, for coming to join us. She has 10H, which is the Jackson Hill SID budget. So this is a resolution introducing and approving the 2019 budget of the Jackson Hill Main Street SID, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and schedule a public hearing, and directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of properties within the district based upon the budget. Anything you want to say and move to the council?
No, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
The budget is pretty identical to last year's budget. There were no increases. And I just wanted to know if any of you had any questions.
Yeah, I'm glad you came because a couple of weeks ago we had this other SID downtown and they never showed up. Nobody showed up for the budget. Nobody showed up for nothing, so.
So Director, I'm just, I see here that we have the $3,000 budgeted for the holiday mark tree lighting.
Yes.
I know this year we had some real issues trying to come up with funding, and it's projected actual is down to 0 once again. We really need to kind of figure out together how do we get some decorations and lighting going on Jackson Hill. You know, one of the largest district in the state. I mean, yes. You're up there working your tail off, and without the proper money and funding, we still have to figure out how do we, make that part of the city still shine.
It's certainly been a hot topic, and we're looking at a few different programs to implement. Hopefully starting next month. We're going to do sponsor a decoration program. Then there's a couple of fundraisers because I have 213 light poles in the district, with the average decoration price being at $175 each. So it's a considerable amount of money to do it in a way that the community would certainly be expecting, what they expect. They want to see a lot of lights, and it's extremely costly. So the board has opted, again this year last year, not to do the decorations. But again, it's been a hot topic, and there'll be some fundraising and efforts going on to hopefully reach that goal of approximately $25,000 to $30,000 to do the decoration.
Michelle, the city should be doing most of this throughout the city.
I will not debate the council.
Go right around the country, and every town is decorated, every city has decorations up. We're probably one of the only cities that doesn't do it.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
First things,
Am I right?
good job. But let me ask this one. When I see that the 10H, the Jackson Hill Main Street Management Corporation printed the 2018 budgeted $30,000 for grant writing consultant.
Yes.
And you guys printed the, as a revenue grant $25,000. So sounds like to me, you guys are willing to spend $30,000 grant writer consultant for $25,000 grant. To me, it looks terrible.
Okay.
So, and also not only the grant consultant, you guys spend actually nothing. You know, so when anybody see that your budget, you guys want to spend $30,000 to hire somebody write the grant, and the goal to get the grant only $25,000. You know, so it sounds like I'm sorry to say that.
No, we did not. We did not make $25,000 in grants.
No, here. No, you're not making any grant, but
Right.
when you see the 2018 budget, grant income $25,000.
Yeah.
But spending expenses, you gotta put your $30,000 for grant writer.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes. It's one.
so it looks terrible. I'm telling you.
The
I will share that.
ROI is in 2019,
You know,
2020.
you grant the grant writer $30,000. You put your budget for grant $100,000. That makes sense. But you're gonna spend $30,000 or $25,000 grant.
Yeah.
So please correct.
I will
When you see the public
share
see
that
this
with my
one,
board.
they think the organization missing something. You know.
Understood.
All right, so that is my concern. Other than that, overall, good job.
Thank you.
No, really. So not easy, but you know, not easy.
No, not with 2.5 miles.
Yes.
And I have one more question.
Yes.
Is any way that we can do the collaboration? Because my office got a lot of phone calls from I Love Greenville and other organizations saying that they wanted to collaborate with you guys to be able to put up some holiday decorations and other things around the district. I'm not sure if you guys spoke and
They
how.
did reach out, but by the time they got to us, it was so late in the season that it would have cost even more. So it just, I didn't want to, it was too much and too expensive to do. But that has also been noted and understood moving forward.
Yeah, because there was 200 and how many goals?
13.
213
13 goals.
Yeah.
You know, whether you raise money or not, I think we're gonna need some help.
No,
You know,
no
from
question.
other
We'll take all
places,
that we
yeah.
can get. Absolutely.
We don't have to do everything, but right.
So then, can I just one simple question? So Jacksonville do that only holiday tree lighting, that's all? You guys are not decorating whole avenue? No?
Well, no. Some years ago, we did have a tree lighting event, and the intent was to try and do it again. But again, it wasn't, what they allotted did not match the need, the cost to do that.
So now.
And now that the municipal building is complete, because we couldn't do it for a couple of years thereafter because of all the construction at the hub. It's
But-
the only centralized
But I
place.
mean, it's like a downtown, Central Avenue, their whole district, all the, like a holiday decorated.
Yes,
So 100-some pieces.
yes.
But if we put in only one tree lighting, so almost you guys are almost 2 miles, mile and a half. This one tree lighting, probably impact is it's not that great, you know.
Agree, but I think their intent was to have something, because there was a tree there a couple of years ago, prior to construction of the building. And they keep budgeting in hopes of doing it again.
So,
And because the hub area is actually the center of the entire district.
see,
So we don't have like a big plaza or anything like that. The hub is the center of the district.
hub is just central, but your service for the whole district, almost 2 miles.
I understand.
So you put in the one holiday light, one location, one tree, that the holiday impact in the whole district-wise is very minimum. So what I'm saying is that Brian, business, city, you know, so you see that already, you see that budget, right? The district is almost 2 miles. And they financially, they're not able to put your decorate whole avenue like a Central Avenue downtown, some other place. They only keep putting the one holiday light in 2 miles. So holiday shopping impact incurs the shoppers very minimized, the impact very minor. So what I'm saying is that city 2019, Jacksonville Ministry needs some kind of city with the SID there, some kind of partnership. At least they should finance a grant supporting, not only the making squares, journal squares, and the Central Avenue, except the move up downtown, etc. Because they have $80,000 of fixed income from the rent of Grove Streets to the farmers market, exchange price almost $4.5 million. They don't need it, but rest of area SID is financially very tough to survive. So 2019, as you lead your leadership, we got to come up with some kind of plan to improve the local small business. Even though we invest like $500,000, we can talk about around 10,000 small business community to boost up their business, because the other people fighting for online stores, shopping more, out, wholesale. So we should have a look into a different way to 2019 to help the small SID like him, making secure Central Avenue, downtown. So just consider it, okay?
Sure.
Not that much money.
Yeah.
Mike, I think I agree with you.
Right? Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, West Side.
we 1 for 1 on this one this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do something to make this area stand out, and not just our area, but all the areas, the SIDs. I know Ward B, the West Side just got theirs. We want to make sure that we're playing our part, because we have, $5,000 here for holiday decoration. That doesn't even say Christmas, or we have Easter and Thanksgiving and things like that we really want to try to bring up the morale in the area to make sure that we are doing our part as a city.
So now, Brian, we have to all same page council members. The mayor willing to spend the extra pedestrian plaza from the downtown, willing to spend $1 million. $1 million, just one block of project. But if he's a mayor now willing to invest the money for the all citywide SID to economic improvement, even $500,000, then we can all stretch our hair. Not hair, the hair. Okay, so please keep an eye on the matters next year, okay? No, please.
Let's continue.
Appreciate the advocacy.
Okay.
I think the mayor should go next,
Mayor.
Jerry McCann.
Oh,
Yeah, Jeremy, yeah.
we're gonna get to Jerry in a minute.
Yes.
Have to, sorry, Jerry. So, everyone done here?
No, but
Michelle?
that's the correction, these numbers.
Yes, I
All right.
will inform them.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Keep the good work.
Thanks.
Before we get to former Mayor McCann, Alfred Ramey and JCU, Sean Tucker and Alfred Ramey, they're here for 10I.
Yeah, it's an island. Is that part of the package from today?
It's a Metro Field.
So 10I is a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with New Jersey City, New Jersey University regarding the management, maintenance, upgrades, and event scheduling of Metro Field.
Folks, hi. Hi, Al. How you doing? Thank you both for joining us. So if you have an opportunity here, I don't know if anyone from the administration wants to speak about this directly as well, and what's happening here, and then allow these gentlemen to. You want to have a seat, Al?
For sure. 10I.
Someone want to, who's going to speak about this resolution? The council is contemplating and whether to approve this resolution and this agreement with the university.
Council President, council members, my name is Alfred Ramey. I'm University Counsel at New Jersey City University. We really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation and be available to the council. This has been a discussion that's been going on between the university and the Department of Recreation for several months, if not years, as a collaboration on this Metro Field, which NJCU would be renovating to NCAA softball standards. And there will be other opportunity for recreation for city programs. And this is Sean Tucker, the Associate Vice President and Director of Athletics at the university, and he can talk about that also.
Thank you, Al. Our game plan at Metro Field is to utilize the space that the city has for our softball program. Currently, for NCAA double standards, we need to modify the field and to skin the field for softball usage. Right now, it's currently in position for Babe Ruth baseball. We've had some great dialogue and conversations with the New Jersey Jersey City Recreation Department, and we've all agreed that this is the best foot forward for not just for NJCU but also for Jersey City. This will also allow us to upgrade the facility that will help many of the programs that are around the surrounding community that we have with a senior program, as well as many summer camps with a better enhanced field.
Okay, Councilman Rivera.
So when you say you're going to regulate the field to the dimensions of a softball field, which is, a women's softball field.
Yes.
So then you are going to change the entire dimensions of the infield. So, with that said, you are going to now suspend regulation play of kids within the area of that have played in structural baseball there. So, for example, kids at Metro Field a couple of years ago wound up going to the state tournament. What happens if the kids in Metro Field now go to a state tournament? They can't play in that field because you've now deregulated the baseball field. And when you talk about changing dimensions, again, you not only change the dimensions of the infield, but now you're going to change the dimensions of the outfield. So what do we tell the community?
No dimensions are being changed. What's happening is we're adding the skin field for softball on there, and we're going to be bringing a portable fence. So it will not cause any changes into the outfield that typically would happen if you're renovating for a place to be directly permanent for softball usage.
So the skin changes that you're doing is going to be in the infield, so you're going to take out the grass.
No, so what we're doing, we're going to be lining the actual infield and skinning the part of the infield, but still allowing it to be regulated for Babe Ruth baseball. So we're adopting the Babe Ruth baseball, but making sure that we're accommodating the field for softball usage as well.
So you're not going to make it into a baseball field because a softball diamond has to have no grass there.
And so what we're going to do, we're bringing a portable mound for the softball usage.
Okay, and last question is, who then is going to be in charge of the assigning this field? I hope that is not going to be NJCU.
So, as a part of the agreement is we are supposed to reach out to the city, and the city will give us first priority during the allocated times of season. So our season is from, let's say, January 1st to April 15th or 20th. That's when NJCU will have first priority for usage of the facility. Once our season is complete, that we don't have a primary need for the facility. So then that's where all the maintenance will then go back over to Jersey City.
So we're going to split the maintenance then?
It's not a split. It's whoever. So during our season from January to April, we will assume all maintenance of the entire facility to make sure that its upkeep is in usage for NCAA rules and regulation. Once the end of the season, that's when all that maintenance will then go back over to Jersey City for maintaining it. Prior to that, though, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we get the field and all the surrounding things around the field in good condition. And with us coming on board, we're going to be investing our dollars towards that renovation and upkeep of the current field.
So softball, baseball season starts in March.
Correct.
So we're now going to push that. We have to push that season a month back for NJCU.
No, this is where it comes with scheduling. It's working out the scheduling. in terms of our home games, we're able to schedule our games 2 years in advance. So we'll have a schedule exactly of when our home competition is taking place and when our practice slot is taking place. So all that will be communicated in advance to making sure that it's not pushing up against current Babe Ruth practices or any competition that takes place in both March and April.
So in your opinion, how does that benefit the city by you guys doing this?
Well, like I mentioned, I think we haven't tapped into the renovations that we plan on doing down the road, which will allow us to have a feel that, as you guys know, there's a lot of flooding that can take place on both that field and other fields in the city. Our future plans moving in that direction will assure that we have a field that we can utilize all the time. The other thing is a lot of the partnership and programs that we're looking to do, whether it's a softball clinic, baseball clinic, this gives us a closer field in the community where softball will now be able to be a sport that's played there consistently, and they'll attract even some more youth who potentially want to play softballs or some of their summer programs.
So you guys are not going to be utilizing 440 area anymore?
So we'll continue to use 440. We have plans down the road to do some other modifications and renovations at the Gary complex as well. That'll allow us to do a little bit more with softball having a home base at Metro Field.
I'm just like very, very careful when it comes down to the youth of these kids in our city.
Yeah.
And I just want to be very clear that the council understands that, you know, the city of Jersey City has to be in full control of this field. You know, with the administration of this park they have to have full control of the field. We can't have the college students, you know, they can't be president over this field before our kids. That has to be very, very clear.
Absolutely, and I think that's the partnership that we've established even prior to me coming on board. But we've established even in the short 8 months that we want to make sure that this is a joint partnership, not just with NJC and the city, but also some of the surrounding businesses as well that can potentially utilize our facilities as we're looking to expand over at the Gary. So I think long term, I think this is a bright spot not just for us but for the city, because it allows us to potentially move forward with some other modifications down at the Gary that for whether it's high school events, other championships, having a turf field is where we need to move forward in that direction, and that's our goal.
So why don't NJCU give them a turf field? That was my next question.
Go ahead.
Why don't they do that from the get?
From the get where?
Yeah, started because.
Well, I think the most important thing is to, and as you mentioned, there's a lot of layers with the schedule. We need to make sure that as we're going into this partnership, that timing-wise of this, that this makes sense for us moving forward. Because this is an investment for NJCU purposes as well, that we're going to put X amount of dollars into cleaning up, renovating, maintaining the current grass as it is right now, with the whole plan to us moving forward with a stronger joint partnership so that we can expand moving forward. And there's so many different layers to this as well with the Gary complex that we're looking to do long term, that I think this is kind of our first opportunity for a really strong joint partnership that will then even expand down to the Gary complex with a bigger square footage for more athletic usage.
How many home games do we have?
So typically in the softball season, we'll have roughly around 15 home competition games, 15 to 20. Utilizing, having still access to the Gary complex gives us an opportunity to, let's say if there's a competition that we cannot move because there's a Little League game there that has to be played there, we're flexible enough to transition in that regard. I think us having a 2-year advance notice on our home competition schedule helps us in the planning and preparation as we're working on Little League schedules and working on other big league schedules.
Council President.
What about practice? I'm sorry. What about practice?
So practice, so typically our practice slot is from 2 to 4 p.m. We do have flexibility in our schedule once we make this agreement to, if we need to shift our practice schedule, let's say to 1 to 3 or 12 to 2. It will just require us to rearrange some class scheduling. Right now, our NJC athletic block scheduling is from 2 to 4, where we have no classes where our student athletes are practicing, and then after that time, then they go back to class. Now we go and approve this agreement, and we meet as a team and figure out what the best slot time is. I think those are things that are open for discussion as well.
Councilperson Ridley.
Currently, I'm working with the league at Metrofield to see if we can get them some funding for netting. In your renovations, will there include a high net? Because we have an issue with the balls going over the fence and hitting cars.
Right, and so that's exactly the benefit for having us there. That's a requirement by NCA, is to have that backstop and have that netting. So there's many factors where the upgrade by our NCA required standards will be an added value to an asset to the surrounding community and the Metro Field, and with it being a bright spot in the community.
Councilman Rivera, and you.
I'll just piggyback off of what the Councilman Robinson said in reference to the practices.
Yep.
So will your practices, when you say 1 to 2, are we talking weekdays?
During the week.
4.
Yeah, 2 to 4
Weekdays.
or 1 to, during the week.
Oh,
Correct.
okay, good.
Yeah,
Because weekends, that's...
Yeah, and so those are the things that, when it comes to weekends, typically for us, we are in competition. So we either have a home competition or we're away. And so that's why having a schedule in advance to be able to sit down to work out when our home competition would be and how we work around various league play that takes place at Metro Field.
Councilman Yen.
Yeah. So thank you for invest $300,000 improved field. But as I agree with the Councilman Danny and Robinson, that your side more scheduling wise is very flexible. Then City of Jersey City first. Scheduling we should be decided by City of Jersey. Do we have any problems there?
No problems, as it says in the agreement. Between January and April is our only primary scheduling, where we'll have to have priority over, let's say if there's an outside group that Jersey City wanted to bring in. Jersey CU needs to be notified first, because for us, we have to put our scheduling 2 years in advance for NCAA purposes. Outside of the January to April window, I do agree that Jersey City should have first right and should have priority regarding the usage of it.
But not only that, even January, April side, because if you have a 15 to 20 games over the 4 months, almost a weekend, you guys are going to use it. So, when you say the baseball team starts in March, then March, April, 2 months, then I will just.
So those games, our schedule sometimes we have Friday games as well. So those are things that we can take in consideration. The other thing that we haven't discussed, at Garrity, there were no lights. So we had to compete at a certain time because of the light situation. The fact that Metro Field has lights, it allows us now to be flexible in terms of when our games are actually played. So if we had to schedule before a Saturday game at 12 p.m. or 2 p.m., we can now look into a Friday game at 8 p.m. or a Friday game at 6 p.m. That's the flexibility now that we have being able to transition our program there.
So that's the concern, a little bit of the concern. So the kids in Metro Field, to make up games, they'll play 2 double headers on Friday. They'll play 4 to 6, or they'll play 5 to 7 and 7 to 9:30, because they have to be off the field by 10. What happens there for you guys?
So then for a Friday game, then we'll play prior to that. And so I think that it goes back to just working out the schedule. We have flexibility, but we just have to get that ironed out in advance so it can work and make sure that our scheduling needs are being met. The other thing that is a benefit, so a lot of times those games are getting rained out because the field's flooded. Well, we can see, if we start to see there's great partnership here in this, renovating the field to a field turf, which is what our ultimate desire is, eliminates all these rain days that we've been constantly banging our head against with our fields.
I think that was just one of the things I was going to touch on, the makeup games, because January to April is snow, not just rain, right? Will the makeup games last longer than April? And is there a playoff championship season after the cutoff date?
Yeah, so we would never host a championship just because we don't have enough bandwidth and services for us to do that. So typically the softball season will end in April, end of April, and then we're going off-site to a different place for championship. Now, when it comes to rain dates, what we typically would do in rain dates is, let's say we had a competition on a Friday or Saturday, and we had a storm, we had to cancel that. The next rain date would be a Monday. So typically it's when we're going back to school for the K through 12, we will then schedule a Monday, let's say at 2 p.m. to avoid any conflict if anyone's using the field. If we see that there's no issues, then we'll do a 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. to best accommodate the schools that has to travel back here for home competition. So as I've been sharing with this flexibility when it comes for us in scheduling, as long as we're going out in advance with that.
How long have you guys been discussing this? Have you been discussing this with the Department of Recreation?
Yes.
For how long?
For even prior to, I arrived on board in May of last year, and this has already been going down the pipe with Arthur Williams and Joe Mackey, with Al and some of our other officials, and Mike DeQuilla, who's our directors of facilities. When I got on board in May, we've been continuing the discussion, and we've been meeting back and forth for quite some time on it.
It's a shame that Recreation didn't at least, talk to us about this prior. It really is. Because here we are, we got to vote for this.
Yeah.
And we only have a couple of days. It's really a shame.
All right, come on, let's get on.
Legal West Side Little League, the conversations directly with them on this one?
So we had a chance to meet with Recreation and all the leagues that were connected with the high schools. Greenfield Recreation, I believe, had a representative there as we were sharing this concept. Some similar questions came up as well, and we were able to explain them regarding the scheduling that just for that 4 month is what we'll look to have priority, but we'll work around the schedule to make sure that we're not having any issues or concerns.
Who else is down there? Is it just Greenville West Side or is other people playing down there?
Greenville West Side, but it's an overlay field for makeup games, which the entire city uses.
So, can I speak a little department I'm sorry, I want to just make it clear, because we have considered by Councilman Danny and Robinson. If we see the contract, page 305, Article 11. The contract 305, FEA contract 305, Article 11, term and termination and the parties' responsibility. So now, we, as a city of New Jersey, try 1 year. If we're not happy with the scheduling other issue, we can terminate it because the term of the contract 3 years. So we have to give to them after 2 years of notice. So 1 year we try. If we're scheduling other things that doesn't work, then 1 year later we can give to notice, so we can terminate in 3 years. So we start 3 years, you know what I'm saying?
Which is a worst case scenario. Our goal is to really make this work, because I think it's on both parties an added value for Jersey City. And so that's why we'll do our due diligence scheduling wise to make sure that you guys, from the city perspective, feel like this is also a good deal.
The Corporation Council, once we the contract, we like or not, we start 3 years, correct?
And that is the language here, shall remain in full force and effect for 3 years.
Right. So we are stuck 3 years. So we try 1 year. If we're not happy with that, then we gotta give the notice of 2 years advance notice. Still 3 years.
And that's the only reason why is because 2 years notices we have to do for scheduling purposes.
Yes, we understand.
That's the only reason for NCAA.
We understand. So in other words,
Councilman?
I was saying there's no clause that you can just add in here?
Which would say, just to clarify, that would make it a 1 year?
yes, you see, like my
He
feel
said
like,
you need 2 years because of the
yeah,
schedule.
he need the scheduling because
So
of
it
their
has to be at
game.
least 2.
They need a 2 years notice, you know what I'm saying? So once we contract, this contract for the 3 years contract. But first year, if we're not happy with the scheduling event, then the recreation department make a notice to the law department to make a notice that the advance, 2 years advance that the terminating 2022. That's what it is we have to have.
So essentially what you're saying is something that would allow the city to trigger after 1 year the termination.
Right. See, something we like to have, 1 year we try, if it's not, we're able to terminate it right there, instead of waiting for another 2 years. Because if we're suffering, we're gonna suffering based on contract. First year we say we're not happy with that, still we gotta go 2 more years, you know what I'm saying?
Council President?
Folks, Mr. Ramsey, Mr. Ramey would like to speak? Council members?
The concern that you've expressed is something that is very reasonable. However, because of the NCAA requirements, we're bound for 2 years. Now, one of the fail-safes here is that NJCU isn't going to be able to launch construction of the renovations until it receives written approval from the Department of Recreation. So when we're discussing the schedule, all of these considerations are going to be taken into account up front. So there should be very little likelihood that there will be a problem down the road, because it's our intention to make this work.
So, this contract started when? When the city council
August 31st, 2019.
Yes.
When the city council approved that, so that the term is started at the day. Well, the construction work is not counted. How they work?
The construction will not start until there is written approval from the Department of Recreation. So our view is that all of these issues, scheduling, et cetera, should be worked out before then, before we start work.
Oh, okay. Before the work starts.
And what's the mechanism by which the termination would occur? Is it the administration, or how is that?
Written mutual consent of both parties at any time. It would certainly seem to encompass that it would be the administration taking that standpoint, that approach.
So which year we go, we gotta give them 2 years of notice. So in other words, first year we are happy, second year we was not happy. Then we gotta give you 2 years of notice from the 2020. So contract going to the 2022. Well, those kind of the funny part of that, because first year you guys are very good behaving. So we are happy with that. But second year we find out we're not happy with you guys. Then 2 years of notice, it's not able to. So 2 years of notice, but its terms are not going to more than 3 years. We got to clear for them part of it. You understand? Law department.
I'm not saying, I'll speak to them if they're amenable to that change.
Yeah.
We can.
You know what I'm saying? Because the first year we're happy. Second year we're not happy. Then second year, when we give the notice then, we got to give 2 years of advance notice. Already so term is only 3 years contract, so we go nowhere. Because when we give the notice, it's less than 2 years.
Right.
So we're going to look at the 3 years term, especially notice of the terminated contract, which way we look at it, it's not going to go beyond the 2022. We got to clear for that part of it.
Well, I think it just goes back to, again, that this agreement is a mutual agreement, that we feel comfortable from both sides, that the scheduling and that the renovations and upkeep of the facility Metro Field will be to the standards and even above the standards in which it is right now. We are required to do that as an NCAA body. And so even let's say you're not pleased with whatever things are going on in the process, we're still obligated to make sure that the facilities and that the places to a standard of NCAA purposes, that it still be a benefit.
Yes, we know that,
right.
Everybody, when people sign the contract, they all say that. Nice, great,
Right.
But after sign the contract, hey, 2020, we're not happy with the 2020. We when you get notice, oh no. We need the 2 years of advance notice required by contract. So our contract term will be finished, not at 2022, 2024, we stop. So this work have to be adjusted somehow. We need to give the 2 years advance notice to revoke the contract, but that the end of the term and end of a period of contract not going to go beyond 2022.
So what's the request?
So that's what I said.
What is the request?
Is the concern that if after the second year and the city is dissatisfied and wishes to terminate it, that would take it to 2 years, which would essentially be the end of 4 years of what was originally a third-year contract term?
That's why 2 years terminated required, but that terminated, it's like a second year, instead of require 2 years, 1 year's notice is required.
It's after year one that
Yeah,
Right.
so we try
change
to
that
protect
2 years to something
our
else.
Jersey City kid.
Absolutely, and I understand, and I respect and understand that position as well. Just so as we're clear, as we're amending this as well, is, let's say 5 years down the road here, we just cannot be in a position where all of a sudden, if you're not happy with where we're at 5 years, that the deal could be taken away under 2 years. Because 2 years, we just need time to figure out what our next steps will be as
we
well.
understand.
So, but I understand the initial.
Yeah, but we
I
have to
think
protect.
5 years, we should all be
Oh,
on the same
I think
page.
we
We should
will.
have nice clay, we should have
Absolutely.
pop-away bases,
Yeah.
we should have a good feel.
Yeah.
If that's the trajectory.
And that's the
we're going.
trajectory, and I just wanted to make sure that we're not.
So law department looked into the matter.
Yes.
So Wednesday, we're gonna see from the law department, you know what I'm saying? So in other words, the term of the contract, not more than 3 years, first phase contract.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
no more than 3.
Yeah. So second year, we don't require 2 years advance notice. 1 year's advance notice more than enough. You know, so that's what we try to make sure that. So continue, you guys, more shape it up to provide maintenance, scheduling work with City of Jersey. Okay? Good.
Alvin, thank you.
Thank you.
No, we gotta make sure, he said right, we gotta protect the Jersey City first.
You got Jerry McCann here, former mayor.
It's gonna be a lot, wait, are you separate from Jerry? I don't have a form for you. Oh, Steve Miller, okay.
It's the same, there's just one.
Electoral, yeah.
Okay, Jerry, come on up, Mayor. It's gonna be a long one, so let's.
No, just simple questions.
Jerry McCann has 3A as well as 4, what is this?
HUA.
4H. So we'll start with 3A.
Well, I think it's kind of a combination. I'm not sure we can separate the two. But sometime in late October, November, we were given the task of enforcing this particular ordinance. And we enforced it exactly the way it's written. We didn't show bias towards one group or another. We issued summonses, unfortunately, to everybody. And as a result, there was some blowback from people that were homeowners that owned vacant lots next to their homes. And we understood that. And we discussed it with the head of Housing Code Enforcement. We discussed it with the prosecutor's office. And we've discussed it with a number of different people. And the way that I suggested that we could resolve some of the problem is in the definition of what is a vacant lot. If we better defined what we recognize as a vacant lot, it could solve some of that problem, if not all of that problem. I met with Councilman Yoon and I suggested an idea. And the idea was that we would...
When was this meeting?
Excuse me?
When was the meeting?
With Councilman Yoon?
Yeah.
About, what, a week ago or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about a week ago. So what I suggested at that point was that we create an exclusion in the definition of vacant lots. Because right now it just says vacant lots that can't be habitable, they're only excluded if they have habitable structures. So the way that I suggested is that we change the amendment to exclude contiguous properties of residential homeowners. That would exclude all vacant lots that are next to people who live next to the vacant lot. And so that would eliminate about 80 of the vacant lot issues. Today in Jersey City, there was upwards of 2,000 vacant lots. And we've issued far more than 2,000 summonses on it. So although there's 2,000 lots, the main concern of the public was the 80-plus people who have contiguous properties next to their homes. And I totally understand it. And when Councilman Yoon had asked me about it, I suggested, and I talked with the prosecutor, and I talked with Diana Hendon, who's the head of Housing Code, about creating an exclusion that would eliminate all those vacant lots. Now, the dilemma of what is being proposed, and it's going back to, I guess, H, is that by suspending it all, we've already issued probably about 2,600 tickets, all right? Because we issued it to everybody. And by suspending them, now it becomes the issue of, well, what's then enforceable? The tickets that we issued was for 2017 and 2018. There's many people who have already registered 2008, 17, and 2018. No person has not one person has registered a lot that is involved next to their home, not one. So by suspending vacant lots next to their home, I'd have no record of any. So I don't know if there might be one or two, but we have no record of them. Have people been merging their lots? That's true. We've had quite a few people that have already had merged lots. I think Ed Tolosa took care of a number of them where people consolidated their lots into one piece of property. Once they consolidated, it's no longer a vacant lot. But either way, we've collected a considerable amount of money from people who are mostly real estate developers. Most of the people who have paid into these registrations are people who own property that are going to be available for development. So this isn't, now we've issued other tickets. We've issued the tickets, and I'll give an example. We've given the tickets to the redevelopment agency. If you read the ordinance, the redevelopment agency's tickets completely comply with the purpose of the ordinance. Because if you were going to look to say who is the worst property owner in Jersey City, it's the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency, bar none. There's not even a close number two. So the point of it is if the purpose was to go after people who have rundown lots, they are number one, and their properties are not exempt from the ordinance as it currently exists.
Did you issue them tickets?
Yeah, we did. No, we issued everybody. So I know that was good or bad, but we didn't become biased in any way. We issued it to everybody, and we dealt with the fallout from it. But in order, if we didn't issue it to everybody, then we'd be selectively enforcing it. So we issued it to everybody, and we took all the heat for of that. But the purpose of it was to be fair to everybody. And what I'm saying is that in some cases, I also believe, like many of you, that there's some unfairness to it. And the unfairness is the resident homeowner who lives next door to the lot. Those clearly are people that we need to address. And I think, and I suggested to Councilman Ewan in his proposed ordinance, was to just exclude that as part of the definition of a vacant lot, rather than to throw out the baby with the bathwater. And that was, to a certain degree, what's happening. Because if you suspend it all, we estimate that we're going to generate about $2 million in revenue.
Okay.
And it's not going to be anything from homeowners.
So you're here to say don't suspend the ordinance, is that?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think that it serves a purpose.
Okay.
If the purpose is, the original purpose of it was
But it's not
to
just homeowners, right?
No, we would exclude homeowners. No,
I'm saying
we
it's
have-
not just homeowners who have been impacted. Like, I know St. Paul's Greenville Church has received multiple.
Yeah, well,
so
they,
it's
all
not-
they.
They're not a homeowner.
No, but
And it's a
again,
little unfair to,
again, I think the solution is very simple. Merge all the lots into one lot, or merge it into the school. The problem is a solvable problem if somebody wants to solve it. We couldn't exclude St. Paul's. Now, let's take St. Paul's as an example, all right? We'll use it because it's also my parish, all right?
Yeah, it's mine too.
I know, that's my point in saying this. St. Paul's rents their property for private purposes. They collect a substantial revenue from that property, which should exclude them from even being tax exempt. They should be paying real estate taxes, but they don't. So what I'm saying is that on one hand, you're saying, well, it's the church. Well, the church is making hundreds of thousands of dollars renting the building, and they don't pay any taxes. So why should they rent that school?
To the Jersey City Public Schools.
It doesn't make any difference. The church is not doing it for nothing. It's not like a charity. They're collecting revenue. If they're collecting revenue, it shouldn't be tax exempt. That's my only point. Now, that's a different issue.
Can I ask just a quick question? Because a lot of people, when you talk about this ordinance, they talk about the vacant lot. But this ordinance, vacant building and the vacant lot, both. Two.
Yeah.
So we seems like more likely in the
There's
general
about
public
800
bring up to
vacant
like
buildings.
a vacant lot issue more than, but vacant building issue is here because number one issue, even Jersey City Heights around the 80 to 90, the vacant building causes a problem.
It's a bigger, I agree, it creates a bigger
not
problem.
that many, but some area outside of Jersey City Heights, the west side, so those area, vacant building, vacant building has a major problem. So if we not suspend all those things, not only just like the vacant building registration, what kind of problem you think are we going to face?
Well, I mean, you could have the problems that we already face. We just had a fire on the corner of Winfield and Garfield just recently. I think, just to give you an example, they only gave me to enforce in vacant lots. I could have done vacant buildings. If I had the choice, I would have done the vacant buildings first. But they gave me the big vacant lots because it was a bigger problem. That's the only reason why we did vacant buildings. Housing code was supposed to do vacant buildings. What I can tell you is, in the past 2 months, I personally have issued about 50 tickets to vacant buildings. Housing code enforcement issued about 6. Now, I only did them myself. What I'm telling you is that if they had told me do vacant buildings, we would have started with vacant buildings. But they gave us vacant lots because it was a bigger problem. So we did vacant lots because that's what they told us to do. I mean, the city doesn't benefit in any, we don't personally, the workers don't benefit in any way of giving the tickets. We have to handle the abuse of everybody that complains about it. But the reality is that we're doing our job. That was the job that we were given, and we did our job. We didn't back off of our job, we did our job. But what I'm trying to get to is that let's exclude churches, all right? There's other churches that have the same thing. If the council, look, it's your ordinance. You guys,
I wanted to ask
you
the
guys.
department. Could I just ask the law department? If the first ordinance that was passed, okay, we have 2 other ordinances that's coming to
We're talking the one in June that we passed initially.
Okay. If by any chance we get rid of that ordinance altogether, what happens to those who have been issued those fines?
Well, you were, the thing that I can tell you now, I'm like,
I want the law department because, some people had to pay, and so what happens to them?
It is an interesting question. I mean, it would come down, the prosecutor may have discretion to dismiss them. However, if you commit an offense that is an offense at the time, it could still apply.
Okay, it still can apply.
Yes.
So it won't resolve their
Not
issues?
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
See, the dilemma exactly.
We were told last month to contact HUD Nut up in
And I
It's
explained
based on the
that, I do not, the prosecutor, once the ticket is written, the prosecutor, the law department cannot instruct the prosecutor how to.
Right, he cannot. That's law, I know that.
So far on an empty lot next to his house, and this is a joke.
Well, Rich, but we already talked about this. I just said that that's going to be excluded. You can.
Council members, can I just if I can just say, so last meeting, we talked about this. The idea was to suspend this temporarily until we came up with a fix, right? What was proposed at the time was to come up with a committee, but by the time we got to the vote on the committee, it was 2 a.m. or whatever the time was, and nobody wanted to because there was some problems with the committee and the resolution and all that. I wasn't attached to any of it at the time, nor am I attached to the ordinance or the fix that's being proposed or anything like that. I just suggested at the time, why don't we just suspend, take some time to sit down with Jerry sit down with Dinah, sit down with the Jake,
Yeah, we're
prosecutor,
in agreement
if I
with
may,
that.
Jerry,
Yeah, I'm
if I
sorry.
may, just to finish my statement around this. And have everyone sit down at the table, figure out a fix, and a committee with some council members, propose the ordinance within 60 days or so, come back and...
Yeah.
That was the original plan.
Yeah, resolve. That was the original plan, and so this ordinance is being presented. I don't have a problem with that either. Like, again, I'm not that tied to this. I'm not looking to fight in 2019 at all, and so however it goes, it's fine.
We had talked about the December meeting is, there are a couple of like unique situations that this ordinance wouldn't cover that, people have approached me about, which is why I think the idea of like taking just 60 days, as long as there's no like, I don't, the repercussions of suspending it, I assume are just it's suspended for 60 days.
Yeah.
So my thought was, if we do the committee, we can get, talk to Jerry, talk to Dinah, as Councilman said, and then talk to each of us, so we get our list of what are the 10 problems we're all looking to solve here, and then have a draft that we can come back and talk about in 60 days.
And just so you know, I totally agree with what he just suggested and what the councilman said. So we're not opposed to any, if it's 60 days, that's fine. What I can tell you though, your ordinance actually makes it worse, because what you excluded was the minimum fine. So when you
June ordinance.
No, I meant this one.
Council President,
When you eliminated the minimum fine, you only
Right.
left the maximum
The
fine.
fine.
So what happens is that this ordinance, as you wrote it,
What
would
ordinance are you
eliminate
referring
it.
to?
What?
What ordinance are you referring
The
to?
original. He's
yeah,
talking
from
about
back
the
in June.
original. Yeah,
See, what happens is when you exclude the minimum,
yeah,
by excluding the minimum, you only allow
That's what he's talking
it to go to the maximum.
right.
So
That's
what
why they got
happens is
fined.
now the fine is $2,000.
Correct.
So before the fine was only $100, by you guys eliminating the minimum
I
fine.
didn't ask for an
You
ordinance
actually
that
opened.
change the
Right.
penalties, I just asked to suspend the enforcement.
Council,
So let's just,
So why don't you-
it's probably best to do it the way you say. Why can't we just table all
60
this
days would work.
until we sit down and come up with a better
why
solution?
don't we do this way? That's my suggestion. I think
Got it.
I'm not your side, so I'm not, but very simply is that it's a lot of complaint out there. Because this one started first time 2015, right?
13.
13 was-
Actually, and
13
then
or 14?
they started enforcing it in 14.
So 2013, in the 2013, when the city council passed a 90-0, because we understand the problem out there, vacant building, vacant lot. That's the why all the council were supporting 90-0. So now, till those times to 2018, we didn't have any complaint actually filed the people because they're not enforced it, right? But now we face the problem because when we started enforce that, we find that we realize that there was some bug in the ordinance.
I
So
agree.
this is the time, the smartest way to do, mayor, because why those kind of problem, right? Because of the enforcement study. Let the mayor make executive order, stop the enforcement, and give us 60 days, and the city council, we set up the committee, we work it on, we amend the 4H or 3A, so we can, after that, no?
If the mayor wants to, sure. That's great.
Mike, just one
I just think
clarification.
we
Just
should
give
take
me
some
one
action as a
clarification.
council.
Yeah.
I'm
The
not waiting on the
enforcement was
mayor.
already done.
Mayor's
There
busy.
is no more enforcement. The tickets are already issued.
Right,
As,
it's done.
Mr. Baker just suggested, it's already in the hands of the prosecutor.
Correct.
What I'm trying to get to is that, so the aspect of the enforcement now is in the court. If we suspended any summonses to be put off for 60 days, that would do what you want.
Mayor.
Hold on, the business administrator would.
Yeah, okay.
We've already discussed the enforcement issue with the mayor and Public Works, and we have suspended enforcement for the most part until we figure this all out. So that's not an issue at this point. I mean, if we need something more in writing, I guess we could.
That's what I'm saying, that's been done. The problem, though, as Mr. Baker suggested, it's now in the hands of the prosecutor. So what I'm suggesting is that the next step would be, in theory, would be to put all cases off for 60 days, if that's what you're suggesting. Put them all off for 60 days. Now, there's nothing that is going to go to court in the next 60 days.
That's fine too, I mean, but that's something that organizationally, you guys can work out amongst each other. Like, there's no remedy here at the council level to do that. It's,
There's no.
yeah, we talked about this as well. It's,
You know, I'm sorry, Joyce, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Councilman Munoz.
What I consider wrong is, like my neighbor in back of me, and I think I explained this to you.
Yeah.
Is that she parks her cars in this lot right next to our house. It's a clean lot, and she gets 2 summonses.
That was
What, are you
wrong.
kidding me?
That was wrong. So
It's
now-
a house, and then this guy here gets 2 summonses. He parks his cars there, the lot is clean.
They're gonna be
You know,
dismissed.
But Rich, his solution is the answer. Mike's gonna check, what I'm trying to get to is what he was proposing was change the definition. Once you change the definition, you eliminate all those properties.
So now, where are we gonna go? We're gonna go to second meeting, gonna be the both for the second meeting, or we're gonna be postponed, start the enforcement, and we work, the amended, original, the 4H, whatever is the council present to
If you say
adjust the-
enforcement is suspended, then the ordinance isn't necessary. The second reading ordinance isn't necessary if enforcement is suspended.
Yeah.
So can we go back to create the 60-day committee?
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
60
bring the
days
resolution
to-
back on the agenda.
Yeah,
We're gonna walk that on.
I think the thing that Councilperson Ridley had asked was that instead of the council president appointing the members. that
Mayoral
he appoint-
appointment.
Well, I think she actually says council president was fine, but was with the advice and consent of the full council.
Oh, that's fine.
I think that was her request at the meeting, and it was 3 a.m., so.
Yeah.
It was.
So
Yeah,
nobody-
it was 3 a.m., no
No,
one
she
wanted
did,
to-
she did request.
And actually, there was a couple of things there, like I think
Yeah.
the prosecutor expressed that he wanted to be a representative on the committee. There was like a representative from a resident. I didn't ask for that. I don't know how that made it onto the resolution to have a resident appointed by the council president. So we just need the people like Jerry and Dinah and the prosecutor and somebody in your office to be sitting at the table and figuring out with a couple of council
So
people.
what is your plan for the Wednesday for this one, 4H?
A new resolution for a council committee.
Before H, we don't even have to do public reason, right?
No.
We can just defeat it.
We can just defeat it at.
Defeat it, okay, good. So we can
And then
do
hold
right,
on
okay?
3.
All right.
Hold on 3A.
Yeah,
hold on
3A is a
until
hold
we
on
have
3A, yeah.
60 days. to-
Okay, 6 days.
We'll withdraw that, or
Good.
because it's yours.
All right.
Whoever's it is, we'll withdraw. That's fine.
The thing that, just so for Mike to make it clear, you guys don't want me to, I'm just throwing this out there, you don't want me to not do enforcement of vacant buildings, right? You want me to
See,
continue to do that?
that's why I tried to amend it, so because the vacant building is a number one issue.
I agree.
So once we suspend, and
That's why when you have a committee, we probably can get over that.
So
Let's look at this for 60 days and just make sure that it's,
if we, 60, next
We got
one,
other things to do.
yeah,
Jerry?
I'm sure you got plenty.
Jerry, maximum 6 days, we can come up idea in 15 days, in 20 days. So whatever we do, we're gonna activate it as soon as possible,
Yeah, I
because they have a risk of the public of a vacant building, what I'm saying. All right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good. All right.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, he's,
Let's see, Matt, I'm sorry, you only got the one item? That's it. Come on up then.
It's a late item, it's not on here.
It's a late item.
Pershing Field,
Do we have the resolution itself?
we do not.
Okay.
I don't have it, I don't know if you, I never saw it. It's coming through purchasing right now. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you see the Pershing Fields contract? It was probably today you would have come through.
Oh, this is
We
the
can talk
John
about it.
McKinney.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay, if you could talk about that?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Get this through. So there'll be potentially here a late item added. There's an emergency.
Yes, this was added today. It's a late item. I apologize, but before I get started, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Moving forward, this is in reference to Persian Field. This is the pool area. This is the replacement for the filter system that is now in line with the pool. We've been running into a number of problems with that. I think it's been there since when the building was built, because I have no idea how they could have gotten through the doorway, so it's got to be completely disassembled and basically replaced, taken out through the doorway. That's the one item. The second item that's on for this is the pool deck area around the pool, but before we would do that, we have to drain all the water. We have to acid wash the entire pool, and while we're doing that, we're going to basically fix all the decking around the area and then paint that because of the problems that we've been experiencing. And the final item is the chlorination unit. We've had a chlorinator on that pool. Well, it was there before I got here. What the age is, I really can't tell you, but I can tell you that we've had nothing but problems. It's a tablet type of chlorine mechanism. We're talking about switching over from that, a tablet, to a liquid chlorine, which is a lot more efficient and in the long run will save us money. So those are the items that we're talking about in reference to this pool. The chlorinator, we've been having problems with that. It has not been working. We've put a lot of money into it since I've been in here roughly. Over the past, 2 years, going on, 2 years. And to be honest with you, we really need to replace it. It's been used manually, it's been used, I could just, go on and on. We've had issues because the amount of chlorine that's been put in, we had to open up the doors, we had to go into a venting situation. If for some reason the automatic system has not worked, and we've had a number of people in to try to fix it and repair it. Getting back to the filter, we did, if you take notice, there is a price, it's $5,000 cheaper. The only problem is they were going to refurbish the existing filter. It's really quite old. The interesting thing about it is that they refer to laterals. Laterals are inside the filter itself. I have no idea what the condition is because right now we cannot take it apart. I don't mean to use I, but DPW can't take it apart to really take a look, but they've been there from the beginning of time. So, you know what, it served its purpose. Where the system that we're talking about, replacing that one large filter, is 5 individual filter systems. Similar, sand, and gravel type, but the efficiency will be a lot greater.
Director, that
Yes.
eliminates then manual if we replace.
That eliminates the manual settings for the chlorination. It also will eliminate the temperature variances that we're also doing manually. So this will be all replaced. That pool will be in pretty good shape. We're in the process of going to bid for a humidifier. When I came on board, I believe we went on a tour, Danny, Michael and Rich, we were all together on that, and we have a shell but no internal wet mechanism. So what's happening is that we're getting a high moisture level because you only have one humidifier working rather than the 2 to give you over 100%. So you're about 60%, 50%. You know what, by putting the second one in, we'll be at 100%, and that'll eliminate a lot of the moisture level in the pool. We're also, and this is on DPW, we're also bringing in a gentleman in reference to the roof. Now, the roof, from what I understand, has not operated in 28 years. I took that initiative basically to say, look, for $1,000, I'd like to find out why the roof isn't working.
What do you mean, with the vents that open?
No, we have actual roof slots that retract.
Yeah, right.
So what's happening, this hasn't worked for, I don't know, I'm going to say 28 years, over 20 years. You know what, I think it's time, if we're going to do this, let's get the pool straightened out. It's been neglected, I hate to say that. You have a lot of equipment in there that basically it's more or less seen a better day.
Pat, listen, we've been fighting this for 4 years, Mike and I. Yeah. I want to thank you because you're the first person that's taken.
Well, you council people are the ones who pointed out to me. And this is not just, it's not me, it's a team effort, through the mayor's office, through a number of people, but you guys led the action.
Director, is there any way we can get numbers, true numbers on a brand new filter?
Yes, I have that.
The refurbish gives me a little chest pain.
Oh no, we're not going with the refurbish, we're going to go with it's here.
You don't have a heart.
Roughly what we're talking about on the comparison.
I heard that.
What happened?
He says he's having chest pains. I said he doesn't have a heart. How can he have chest pains?
Oh, I thought you admitted Navy should have won the last football game over Army. I thought that's what it was. I was going to agree with you. All right, to refurbish it, you're looking at $20,000. To replace it, you're looking at $25,000. I would strongly suggest that you replace it because this is like a bottomless pit. I don't know how much money we've thrown in since I've been there. We probably could have bought a brand new one like a year ago. So I would, if you take my advice, replace it.
But
I think I have a comment on this. I'm going to leave it here. But everything is broken down with my comments on why we need to replace it and how soon we should act.
And thank you for you to improve the hardwares in the swimming pool, but also that the swimming pool, and the Councilman Daniel myself reaches a point out that daily checkup list they should have, especially
That's
the
correct.
venting system. If you see that that air that dusty is out of control, so they're supposed to be vacuum every day. They're doing now?
Well, what we did was we just had all the venting system cleaned.
Clean?
Yeah, we had it done professionally, so everything is taken care of.
Every week, they should be maintained.
Well, I just want you to realize one thing. We're planning on closing the pool for roughly 2 to 3 weeks. I feel we could get this job done in 2 weeks. We're talking about doing this come February 1st. So by the end of those 2 weeks, we should be, pretty well done with this project.
Okay.
Now, next year, I just want you to realize I'm going to be back again because we have to do something with the locker system that's in both areas for the males and females, and we'll probably end up replacing those with some kind of a fiberglass
We'll
plastic.
probably do some of the other larger repairs through the next capital cycle.
Yes.
Because we don't have a lot of funding left over for this sort of thing, because it wasn't budgeted before. So
So-
these are just emergency things.
Yeah, so big major improvement we understand, but also daily maintenance should be follow up, you know what I'm saying?
Believe me, after we get done with this, there will be a maintenance schedule, it will be posted, and there will be follow through.
Vacuum the filters, windows, clean.
Windows are actually going to be repaired. I mean, I could go on, there's a lot to this list that we're doing. A lot of it's being done by DPW, except for the chlorination, the filter, and, actually, the humidifiers and all that.
And also actually, we bring up the issue, Councilman Richard Wood and myself, and person field maintenance by 2 different divisions. They're supposed to be, one division take care of the whole issue. So what happened?
Well, the suggestion that right now, what I'd like to do is get this project done, all right, so everybody is satisfied with it, and then I would like to come back and possibly propose that we bring it down to one,
Division to take care.
yeah, one division, let's say, to take care of this, and rather than having DPW involved, meaning it's a recreation type of situation, I would, and I'm not telling you what to do, it's just only a suggestion. What I would do is maybe put it under recreation. I don't know.
So
All right, forget it. Let me just get it done. That's all I'm looking to do.
That's okay.
You guys can argue about who's going to run it, but
Okay.
it's got to be done by one group, whatever that division is.
Okay.
All right? Thank you very much.
The next project, I'm sorry.
It's okay, no, you go.
The next project is, we have to do something with that reservoir.
You're working on it.
Okay, we are.
We are working on that. There is a meeting coming up next Wednesday in reference to that.
Yeah.
And, I plan on attending that meeting. That is your diamond in the rough, believe it or not. Yes, sir.
Questions, because we obviously didn't get a chance to look at this. The first is just how much is this all totaling?
Okay, it's $25,000 for the filtration.
Okay.
It is for the pool deck and the acid washing, it comes out to $13,955.
Okay.
And our final number is your your chlorination machine. It's roughly $7,956.99.
And, all these repairs sound very necessary, but just from a perspective of the operation, is there a reason why they're kind of late in coming in as an emergency item versus waiting 2 weeks for the next council meeting?
Yeah, because we'd like to get this done. The best time to do it would be over this upcoming February.
Okay.
Because the traffic, when I say the traffic, the use of the pool isn't that great.
Sure.
And we're in a position where if we had to, we could actually keep it closed for 3 weeks. But like I said, I'm shooting for a 2-week, opening, getting it finished and having it opening.
Okay.
And March starts
March starts everything.
everything starts in March.
And then it just picks up from there. Sort of like the baseball.
Exactly.
Tell all the seniors to call you.
Actually, no.
Hey, Pat.
I have gotten too many calls of different items. Right now, I just want to get this done for everyone.
That's Sing Navy. Goodbye.
If you can get those resolutions to Marlene.
I'll have them tomorrow. We should have had them today. I apologize. We've been meeting on this the last couple of days, and, I thought everything would have come in. I'm going to leave you these, so you have them, because I have copies.
Are there 3 separate resolutions or just?
There's 4. There's a total of 4 resolutions that we're looking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry, I gotta get into Matt report.
Matt and Ned, and then we go for the top.
You're right.
This shit's gone a lot faster than that. This is like the lightest agenda ever.
We only
Was
have
that? Yeah.
we only have
He's got like 4 items. I'm sorry, Ed.
I got a couple things I can talk
Sticking to
about.
my same rule of, yeah.
All right, I'm here for
4A and 4B.
4A and 4B?
Yeah.
So there's final question. Oh, no, that you weren't here for the last one. So there's,
Yeah, so I apologize. I completely forgot on a busy Monday to come here. The first one is an ordinance to numerous redevelopment plans to remove expiration dates that are in them. There was some questions from Councilman Solomon at the council meeting, and we met earlier today actually to kind of go over the thinking behind this amendment, some of the reasoning that the planning staff had come before the council with this, and talk through some of the concerns of maybe doing a wholesale removal. Councilman Solomon had some good points. I think that, planning staff is fine with tabling this item.
Okay.
And trying to come up with a more outline, like work product that we can come and analyze these expirations and come before council a little more selectively as they come up. So that's going to be the strategy, I think, going forward. So
are we tabling this without public hearing or with public hearing? Or?
Without. Yeah, that's fine. And just so you're aware, so
we might as well.
Based on your tenure, there's some years where there's 2, there's 4, there's 5 that expire in the same year. So this is going to be quite an undertaking, but we're going to try to do it systematically. So.
Matt, I guess that one thing is to give you guys more context. Part of what my thought was is, some of these expiration dates may frankly make sense, and we may want to keep them in plans, and others don't. And some plans are fully completed. And so, although it's certainly more work, it makes sense to consider each one on a one-on-one basis versus a blanket removal of all of them in every plan. So and I think it allows us to get into these plans a little bit more. So there's one plan, for example, that was literally written in 1958. So instead of just allowing it to keep continuing, we can take a look at it and see if what was written in 1958 still makes sense today.
Well, we got them around.
2 in 1958, 2 in 1955.
Yeah, 1955. Like, instead of just continuing them in perpetuity, give
all 4 of them are expired.
Okay, so look to, I think, defeat it. Robert Byrne is always saying, not cluttering up the tabled agenda.
But if you table before public hearing, it's the same purpose. You just don't have to go through public hearing, right? So it just saves us time, correct?
True, it would save us time.
You table it prior to
public hearing.
Table to the prior to public hearing, and you're just adding it to the tabled agenda.
But I thought the table agenda only includes the ones we've done after. No, it's both.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
So it stays on for the whole year.
It's actually, it'll stay on until the council.
Reorganizes.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Either it's untabled or their term expires.
Okay.
So why don't we play it by ear and see who's there?
Yeah, fair enough.
Matt, are you finished?
Fair enough.
Matt, are you finished?
No, one more item.
Because I want to ask you something.
Okay.
No, go on.
4B.
Yeah, 4B. So this is amendments to the Morris Canal redevelopment plan, the mixed-use D zone in that redevelopment plan. This item before the planning board was heard. There was some testimony taken and was tabled for further consideration. The petitioner for the amendment went back to the community, discussed it more, and this ordinance is before you. Inside the ordinance, there is an NW financial analysis, and the conclusions are, I would say, favorable for
Yeah, do you want me to give it to you?
of the amendment, and I would direct you towards.
I will.
There's actually page numbers, page 3 of the attachment, which is section E, the affordable housing open space bonus. That's by and large the piece that drove this amendment. So there's an affordable housing component, and then there is an open space contribution component towards Berry Lane Park, which is across the street.
So
If anyone wants
this is
to
not
go
the
into
one
details on
that,
that, I can't.
business administrator?
No, the one on the other side of the park already passed. Yeah, it's me.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yes.
Because you gotta pay attention.
Okay, I'm paying attention.
Memorandum, okay?
Yeah.
If you see, I think you too, because now I'm gonna ask a question to put you in a very difficult position. So if we see the memorandum, they're analyzed by NW Finance, whatever is consulting company. If you see the exhibit number 1, the bonus package we give to them to able to build 46 units more. They analyze, they can gross potential revenue by 46 units. They expect 1.15909, okay? So, let's say $1.1 million divided by 12 months, divided by 46 units means that each unit rent, monthly rent, will be around 2,100. I like you put on writing. Business administrator?
Okay.
So
well,
40.
are you discounting for vacancy?
No, not the vacancy. The gross potential revenue. If you build an extra 46 units,
right,
they expect from the 46 rent collection per year $1.1 million, 1.159, whatever, okay? But divide $1.159 million divided by 12 months, divided by 46 units, that means they are planned to charge each apartment average $2,100 a month. You can calculate it. It's a basic math required.
Okay.
So now, if you see exhibit number 4, net project value, and the next one, less affordable rent loss. Because they're going to give 10 units as affordable housing, and they expect to give us 10 units for affordable housing. They expect they lose income $617,000. So $670,322 divided by 10 units divided by 12. They claim that affordable housing each unit they expect lose around $5,144. How the hell they can lose $5,144? Something rent collected only $2,100. It's a common sense. Anybody look at these numbers, and this NW Finance, we are the one hire, give us a financial advisor to the city of Jersey City. I mean, what kind of numbers they got played?
Can we maybe get a clarification from NW on this to see?
Do me a favor. Yeah. Let them NW call me. Okay. I like the special meeting with them tomorrow. This is insult. And also,
why don't you wait to hear their explanation?
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
No, doesn't make any sense because rent only collected $2,100, but how they can claim that they're going to lose $5,000 each unit affordable housing? Maximum they can lose $2,100. But how they can claim that? You know what? They play with numbers. Another one, it makes me very upset is that
Exhibit 3. If they build an extra 46 units, the market for 46 units, they claim that around $12 million. The order to build 46 units, they estimate the project cost around $11 million. So in other words, each unit's market value $265,000, and the cost of the build at each unit $242,000. So if we look at it as condo, they claim that they're going to make $23,000 each unit. If you build in the house, a two-family house in Jersey City, two-family house in Jersey, brand new, they make around average $100,000 to $150,000. The maximum investment around $600,000, they make $150,000. This company say they invest $11 million, but they only can make $23,000 a unit. Come on.
Yeah, we'll have NW reach out. Yeah.
So not only just reach out, I like to sit down with them.
Meet with them tomorrow.
They have to explain to us where all these numbers come.
Sure, yeah, we'll have them explain it.
This project, I'm going to make clear, this project, because Councilman F. Robbins really like her, so I got no problem to supporting, but when they provide the numbers, unacceptable numbers, it's part of the insult to this city council. So please, okay?
Yep.
All right.
Matt, you finished?
Yes.
All right, I thought Tanya was going to be here tonight. We have a problem tomorrow night. We have the planning board tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Your department ordered that the city have a traffic survey for these two projects that are going up, 32 Oakland and 350 Baldwin. And they were told the county had some problems. I called Tommy DeGee's office today. He wasn't there. Nobody's gotten back to me or the neighborhood on problems with the county with these two projects. Then, nobody did the traffic survey. And when I called up, I spoke to Tanya, she said that the city never put through the paperwork. If this is true, I want these both projects pulled tomorrow night. Because, no, I'm serious. This is absolute BS. Nobody got back to me. Nobody told me what's the county's problem. Somebody said, oh, they want bulletproof windows. What are you kidding me? In facing the courthouse, the new courthouse that's being built. And also the fact that the Baldwin Avenue traffic survey was never done. So please.
And another
one,
this is not your problem, but planning department have to be, we wanting to planning department. They have another project, because how do you guys met that? Another project is a 345 Central Avenue. Usually I'm not make any personal opinion as council person to any planning board because they have their own board. I respect it. But this is the first time I make a call. I have a concern for that project because they're going to build a 20-30 units apartment on top of the rent center. And the first floor, they're going to put you in the supermarket. So I make it very clear to developer, we're not going to allow to have loading, unloading zone in the front of the building. Because of that, the parking is very difficult. And because of that, left-hand side, east side of the Central Avenue, entrance of parking lot, from that building, 100 away from the traffic light. So because of that reason, we cannot do that. So I told them, planning board, when they review that, the plan, if we plan to build a supermarket, $7,000 to $9,000 supermarket, they must have to clear to set up the loading, unloading is Lincoln Street. In order to put the Lincoln Street, the loading, they must have to build in the planning, there's some kind of access to reach the Central Avenue side. They approved the plan with the condition. So I thought the condition was a part of the put your loading, unloading the Lincoln Avenue. It's not. If we printed the 9,000 square feet or 7,000 square feet supermarket in that area, it's going to probably hurt you guys creative. How the hell you guys are ignoring what council person brought up the issue, and even Central Avenue SI brought the same concern about that. You guys contribute. I mean, this one unacceptable, really.
I'll look into the
because of
application.
that, the stores from the traffic light, the most busy traffic area in Jersey City, the Central Bower Street, like 100 feet away. If anybody double parking, forget about it. They cannot get in the parking lot, they cannot get out parking lot. You know, people cannot, I don't know you guys, you know what I'm saying? But when I see that this case, you guys are looking at, you know, but just look at the matter, okay?
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Yes.
So please, tell the Tanya, give us, what was the condition was it?
Okay, I'll get back to you on 3, 4, 5, and
That's what I'm saying.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Tolosa, thank you for your patience. Ed Tolosa has 4 items from 10C to 10F.
When we call, you go.
The first one is a resolution to cancel 2018 real estate taxes on property owned by Christ Evangelical Lutheran Church. 10C. That is now in compliance with tax exemption
10C is
requirements.
Charlie. 10F, sorry. He's in Pontiano.
Okay. Questions on 10C? Self-explanatory.
Yeah, C and D, basically these are owned by the churches. The reason why this went into the tax roll because of their failure to file some information requests that we mailed to them, and also failure to give us access to the properties. And when they got their tax bill, that's the time basically when the individual in charge of these charges, they began basically to react or activate whatever, you know, we need from them, like the further statement, because they're required to file the further statement every 3 years. And in addition to the requests that we have, because some of the data we have or information were destroyed during the storm, we're requesting what you call the initial statements. You're looking for the corporation papers they have. Every so often, even non-profit organizations, they change their mission. So we review this whether they still conform to the tax exemption statute. So we're canceling basically the 2018 for both of these properties. Whether it's good or bad, I think they did not pay the taxes, so there's no money basically being refunded to them.
Okay, 10E, so resolution to cancel 2011 real estate taxes on property owned by Port Authority of New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, this is a little kind of big item in terms of the taxes involved on this one. What had happened here is that in 2010, Port Authority took over the property, which used to be the New Jersey Bank, something like that, next to 30 Montgomery. Yeah, they closed like around in December, I think 20. The likelihood we never got the deed to include them on the following tax list. Also, with the same timeline, we were kind of working with the administration then was working with the Port Authority to at least with the loss of revenue that we would have with this building, we were working if they are willing to execute or have an agreement like pilot. Because during that time in 2010 also they bought the entire like global terminal properties on Jersey Boulevard. They had like 150 million, including
400 acres of land.
Yeah, some of the properties in Bayonne. Unfortunately, the Port Authority has the enabling statute basically under Title 32 that the usual exemption criteria are not applicable to them. It is basically, you know, as long as they own the property, the use criteria is not prescribed. So once they took the property, the following year they should be exempt. Again, this particular liens or the taxes that they have every year, basically they did not pay the $1 million that was due on the number 2 Montgomery Street.
Okay, questions, Council?
Now, in addition to that, of course, on the global terminal, we were able to get the 1.3 million in pilot rather than being exempt. So in addition to the path station we have, I mean the Jones Square Path area, we have the new pilot, which is basically the Port Jersey Boulevard properties and the Greenville. So we have 3 properties now, or 3 areas where Port Authority is paying almost about more than 2 million in pilot.
They should be paying a lot more for that land down there.
They should, yes.
All the other property. And there was an article, there was something on the radio the other day, somebody suggested the Port Authority should be broken up. And there should be a lot of changes coming forward. Because they're actually, what they do in New Jersey is a shame. Because everything is New York. I know you work for the Department.
They're good people.
Oh, please. Please.
Okay.
They were years ago.
They gave me $1 million since I retired.
Oh, you, yeah. That's
What
why
are you
they're
doing
broke.
here?
That's why they're broke.
What are you doing here? You got $1 million. I'm trying to get more. See? Under the table.
Another,
Okay.
these, yeah.
Folks,
The other line
last
item
one
we
is
have.
10F.
Yeah, 10.
So
10F.
resolution authorizing the settlement of assessment appeal filed before the tax court in New Jersey.
118 Summit Avenue, this is basically the property close to the corner of Fairmont and Summit Avenue. This is the Episcopal Church that you have there, which has been a landmark adopted by the city. That church is basically a shell. What happened was the Episcopal took that over in 2017, I think, only for $405, including the structures that they have in the back. The entire property basically is, in need of entire kind of rehab, and I think we have some site plan approvals on the structures behind the church. The church basically, they can do anything there rather than just renovate it. So when they went, initially they went before the county tax board. From 544, it was reduced to 500. And then they took that 500 to the tax court. And when there was a sale, although you may say since it is exempt sale, it may not be used as an arm's length. Nevertheless, it's an indication of what the value of the property is. So hoping that once the entire property is renovated, the city basically would benefit from such renovations that would be done on that property.
You still have the top on the roof for the last 10 years, stopping the leaks from going in? I gotta pass it by, looked over.
Yeah, well, basically, if you look at the church, it's like nothing in there, basically.
I know, it's a shame what happened to that church.
It is.
All right.
Michael?
Any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ed, you get back to me on that other issue?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
He played by books.
Yeah.
I say you
Got
play
no
by
one
books,
else?
not much to say.
I can talk about stuff if you guys want.
Nah, I'd rather take it from the top. Okay, so we're withdrawing 3A, so 3B, that's an ordinance supplementing chapter 122.
What's it? No, it's 3B's on there. 3B's on. This is removing the requirement for SIDS to submit a bond or special events, a special event bond. This was requested on behalf of all the SIDS in our quarterly meeting with them, and it's more of just like a budget issue for them, just because they do so many events, and also if there are any liabilities or issues, you guys as the council manage their budget either way, so it's sort of like a fail-safe kind of thing.
This is what I say, one of the, did you read it? Very good. That's what we call this a partnership.
That's great, yep.
City of New Jersey, SI, the both team try to make it better.
Yep.
So we say very good.
That's great.
Yep.
3C.
3C is an ordinance supplementing chapter 332. These will all be read in full. This is the designating the west side of Grand Street from Holden Street to Pryor Street as a no parking on school days.
Andrew was supposed to be here, but he is fallen ill, so if there are any questions about 3C or 3D, you can let me know now, or send me an email, or send him an email, and we can respond tomorrow. But they're pretty straightforward, just traffic stuff.
So my question is that 3D, this is how many units is this apartment? How many units?
3D?
Yeah, 3D.
Not sure, but this is actually a long-standing issue that the community's raised for years since I've been here. There's a handicap entrance to the sidewalk there, and you can't get into it just because there's cars.
So
parked
car
all the
park,
time.
right?
So that's really what the issue is.
Is there some kind of construction going on in front of the building?
Not in front of this section, not in front of that section.
The Google map photo. Scaffolding.
Yeah.
Let's go to 3E.
Yeah.
Okay, 3E is.
3E, we're actually going to withdraw. The administration's going to withdraw. So we're working with NJ Transit on this. Long story short, the Portal Bridge that is a bridge over the Hackensack River in Caucus. The City of Jersey City formerly owned a landlocked piece of open space there. No one knows why, but we sold it to Caucus, who then gave it to the county. And NJ Transit needs it to build this new bridge, which is serious infrastructure. And there's a deed restriction on that property that we're trying to remove just to make sure they can do what they need to do for transportation purposes. But NJ Transit is still reviewing, and just a little miscommunication, so we're going to withdraw for now.
3F is an ordinance amending Chapter 160 fees and charges.
Councilman James Solomon puts a lot of time and effort.
Well, let's do, can we do 3G first, if that's all right, and then come back to 3F?
Sure.
Because 3F is a fee thing that'll apply to the whole city, and so I wanted to just get people's opinions on it.
Yeah.
But for 3G is a downtown specific one, so I want to start there, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I sent the email to the council, and then we did have the fact sheets, which I'm not sure is with this packet, but it's basically what I sent in the email. So let me just briefly describe why we worked on these changes, the process, and then the specific changes. So on the why was, from the moment I got into office, I've had a series of constituent service requests around parking. Some people say, my block is not zoned, but all the blocks around me are zoned in residential. And can you help fix that? Folks saying, hey, I come home from work and I can't find parking, and all the people who live in some of the big developments are taking the street spaces. Businesses saying, hey, we don't have enough, people can't find parking around me. So I'm kind of made a commitment to all those constituents that are reaching out to me that we would try to tackle some parking reforms in downtown. I had met initially with Andrew and Barca and Mary, and because the city is embarking on this bigger parking study, what they had suggested was that these types of kind of changes we make are what I would call medium scale changes. They're substantive, but they're also not huge, massive, let's change the whole system, because their recommendation was let's wait until that report comes in that does a comprehensive study. So let's try to make the current system we have work a lot better for people, but we're not going to go crazy and totally revamp the way we do residential parking downtown. So what were the kind of main changes that we put in? We worked with the administration on this. Mary and Andrew and Bark have all reviewed multiple times, but I am totally open if you guys have suggested changes, things like that. We want to move it soon, but if people want a couple of things changed, there's nothing stopping that from happening. So the main changes, I have to go through them in my mind, but the first one is the zones. So I sent you a link to a new map, and I'm happy to create a printed copy. But as I mentioned, there are certain streets that are left out of zones. There are certain streets that are weirdly in one zone when they really shouldn't be, the south of Grand Street. So we're basically trying to make the zone maps make more sense. The two big changes as part of that is right now Zone 1 includes Van Voorst Park and the Village, which are totally separate neighborhoods. And in particular, we're concerned about people driving from the far parts of downtown and parking around the path and taking up spaces near the path. So we're making the Village its own zone, and then Van Voorst its own zone. So you separate those two neighborhoods, and then some slight border changes. We are also going to create, proposing for Councilman Rivera, and I heard this at Holland Gardens, that as those big towers have moved into the neighborhood, the residents are no longer able to find street parking, and there's no residential zones there. So we want to create a residential zone for that neighborhood. Another change is what we call border zones. So letting people, if they're on the border between one zone and another, park on the other side of the street. Not anything major, but a small change to that regard. We're creating a proposed change around two things around restrictions. So you're not allowed to get zone parking, residential zone parking, if your building provides your parking, unless that parking is not available. We want to clarify that if you do get a residential permit, you can only get one. Right? If your building provides free parking or free or fee parking, and then they say, well, it's all taken, the city will give you one residential permit, but not an unlimited number of that, if you're moving into a building that is required to provide parking for you. We're also closing a loophole where right now the restriction is actually harder on residents and businesses And we just want to make that exactly the same. So I'm happy to give you more detail on that, but we are just creating the same set of rules for the businesses. The last two, I think, big ones are the hours and the meters. So the hours currently are 8 to 5 with a 2 p.m. window. So that really means they're only enforced from 10 to 3, right? Because you can leave, if you park at 8, you can leave by 10, park by 3, you're good for the rest of the night. And that means if you daily commute Monday through Friday, it doesn't really apply to you, and your building might have parking. So we want to extend the hours to cover that evening period. So we have 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. But some of the businesses reached out to us and specifically said, well, if you only have the 2-hour window, you may not be able to park, go to the restaurant, and we wanted to make sure people in the rest of the city don't feel like downtown is inaccessible to them. So we went for a 3-hour window that allows people to, time to shop, to eat, a number of different things that you can potentially do. And so that's the proposed hours. And then we also have the meters. Right now they're 9 to 6, and we're proposing 9 to 9, because as the retail is changing, retail is more and more about eating, going to restaurants downtown. So the businesses are particularly hopeful that you can get a little bit more turnover in the metered spots from that 6 to 9 period when people might be coming to have meals. So I think that covers the very top level of all these proposals, but I'm, like I said, happy to answer any questions, happy to make amendments and changes to the extent that people have any thoughts.
Question,
Yeah.
for changing the meters,
Yes.
right now it's currently downtown, wasn't that tried one time before where they went to 9 and it was done citywide and they had to repeal it?
Okay.
It was. I don't know if you were, I could ask him,
No.
did the SID, they're good with it? Because they were the one of the most vocal
The
opponents.
downtown, the SID SID?
Well, all the SIDs as a group kind of came together and.
So I only obviously, because this only applies to the meters downtown. We
Right.
worked with traffic to clarify that. I sent drafts of this to both the downtown SID and the Exchange Place SID. Neither provided any objection to that provision, but if they raise it, it's not something, I think it's the better course, but I'm not,
I do too.
I'm not, solid on it.
It was pretty strong.
Right.
I mean, that was back at Candace, well,
Yeah.
forget who proposed it.
Yes, Candace.
Okay, yeah.
No, because it was citywide, it was citywide.
Citywide at that
I think
time,
with the
yeah.
administration.
And then where's the clarity where then it would just be, because it's just the downtown zones, or?
Well, I think it's specifically, if I look at the language on the meters, the way they said it was that basically these
List of the street.
on-street parking 9 to 9 for these streets, and then it just includes the downtown
Alright, I
streets.
just wanna, because
and
this
then-
was done one time before, I just wanna make sure.
Yep.
Or with the 24/6 that turned into 24/7 citywide enforcement, that that there's not gonna be surprises later on down the road.
Yep,
So-
absolutely. Yeah, but we specifically requested it just to apply to the downtown meters.
Actually,
in the drafting.
If I make a recommendation, this is your first reading, right?
Yes.
After first reading, all the council will give to this one to all the SID to review. We do that to Central Avenue because they make sure, so they are happy with that. They have no problem because always they issue 9 to 6. That's what it is. But some area.
We have 2 muni lots in Ward B that
Yeah.
is 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. permitted parking, which runs into conflict with the either 9 to 6 or 9 to 9 that we've had problems in the past.
See, now page 6, they have
Unintended consequences.
the 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. parking meter enforcement can be downtown people not much problem, but some area can be whatever is that area can be an issue, So if we ever end up, page 8, the parking restriction residential zone is 2 hours or 3 hours is great, but we do that height, we are different.
Right.
The business time, so we do that 4 hours, because people do hairs and nail, and a couple of shopping easily kill the 4 hours. So we do that. But everything is fine. But they're not included the zone 16, which is a highest new zone. So on my side, there's no problem. But I'd like to recommend the west side, Journal Square, they should be reviewed by SID because still we got, almost 10 days extra time.
Does the 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. meter parking application period, is that just downtown or is that?
So as drafted, it only applies to the streets downtown. So 9 to 6 still applies everywhere outside of Ward E. that has meters. We also cleaned it up. There's a bunch of places that in the ordinance in theory have meters that don't. So we just made the ordinance actually reflect what the reality is on the streets.
And if I give the credit,
Business guys were in downtown or okay with bringing it up tonight.
So I sent it to the SIDS, and they sent it to their memberships, but like I said, if you want to reach out to someone, if they have issues, I'm happy to meet and make amendments, as people want, so.
No matter what you do, you're gonna have problems.
Somebody's gonna be
with
there.
parking.
I understand, but I'm happy to
The only
hear.
solution to
Listen
all this
and
is each
discuss.
ward should have a major parking garage in the residential, in the business areas. That's
and
the only solution.
you did it, I give you a lot of credit because borderless streets.
Right, yep, we'll try it out.
Height was the number one problem. Central Avenue, east side of Central Avenue, John parking.
Yep.
West side of Central is non-John, so
Right,
now
so
what
everyone
happens?
just goes there, right?
People just go park here, make one side more difficult.
Exactly.
So great for that, you know?
Okay.
So
Alright,
now.
So then 3F,
Yeah,
so
it's concerned.
3F, 3F applies to the whole city, so that's why I wanted to make sure we did that second. I had asked parking, or asked Mary and Andrew Barca, and their recommendation was any fees, try to have them apply to the whole city, or any changes to fees. So one issue that was brought up was that right now there's no limit on the number of residential permits any unit can get, that they could get an unlimited number, and each one still costs $15. And given how hard parking is, that we thought that wasn't entirely fair, that there had to be some incentive to not have 10 cars in a household, even though there aren't that many homes with 10 cars. So the proposal is to do $15 for the first one, like it's normal. But then if your home, your apartment has a second car with a residential permit, that is a $30 fee, so an extra 30. Then if you have a third car, it bumps up to a $90 fee. And then at that point, no more residential permit. So it's 3 per household or 3 per unit. I understand pros and cons to this. I wanted to just introduce it and hear what your thoughts were. My thinking on it is, the street spaces are really, they're precious and we don't have that many.
Right.
And we have to start to create some sort of limits on, huge number.
So actually,
I'm sorry, are you talking zone or residential?
For the residential, so if you're zone 4, then you could only get 3 zone 4 permits per your household or your apartment.
so now this one, I'm going to bring the issue. When we organize a Heights parking community view, this is one of the original people's idea.
Yeah.
But later on, they realized that this is one of the bad idea. Why? It's like own the car, it's like own the jewelry. So more is not better because it costs too much. Insurance, so on, so parking difficult. But unfortunately, most people has a one car, husband, the wife is a second car, son is a third car because of it's a necessity to go to work. So now they say, councilman, this is things for councilman, why I have jeopardized that, because I have not extra car something I need, necessary things, what I'm saying. And also parking division has a problem, hard to track. So now your permit expire April, same address. Your permit April, your May. When you go, you pay $15, but when she goes, she have to pay $30. Because of there's a difference of that expired. And the third people in July, they have to pay $90. So what they did wrong. So that's why we try to this one, but it doesn't gonna help to solve the parking space problem. Even though they charge $30 or $60, $90, they have to have a car in order to go work, number one. Number two, they're gonna still park in the street, they're gonna take a space, even though we charge $100, they have no parking garage at the driveway, they have to park. So they look at it, this is another tool to increase city revenue instead of the service. That's why we try to do that, and we not put in the place in the Heights because that issue. And their argument was right,
What I would add to that too, and I think kind of along the same lines, is on the west and south side of the city, we don't have a lot of transportation options.
Yes.
And there are a lot of two-family homes where the second unit is the rental unit, rental income, so you're looking at 2 families, same home. So while I think that looking at the permanent fee structure is good, I just think we need to be mindful of the hardship it's gonna put on some of the families, especially on these other parts of the city where your only option is that you can't hop on a city bike and you can't hop on the bus. You know, you have to take your car because you're not commuting to the square to go to Manhattan, you're commuting to Secaucus,
Out of
you're
the city,
commuting to
yeah.
Newark and some of these other areas.
See,
So just to be kind of mindful of that.
To Mira's point, how are parking permits issued for two-family homes? Is one unit considered, would be 3 or maximum 3, or and then a second unit?
So
Maximum 3, or is it-
I can confirm with Mary. My understanding is if it's per unit. So if you had a 3-family, each unit gets.
You could have up to 9
Yeah, but
permits.
assuming they're obviously, you know, I know it gets into, these are legal questions of how we look at this stuff, but each unit is legal and, you know, rented, but.
And I know also these other parts
yeah.
of the city, not to interrupt, but I'm
Yeah.
going to, they're not as many zones, right? But for example, in my area and where Rolando, the council president, lives, we're in zone 8, which is 3 to 9, $110 ticket if you're not a resident. And so I know that there are caveats for things like homemades and people who work in the area, but just to kind of be mindful of those evening permits as well.
So,
yeah.
council,
But I think that's different, that's a different zone, that's a resident-only zone.
Right, no, I understand that it's gonna be different, but if we're looking at, you know,
Right.
changing permits and changing
Right.
this, like it's, you know, is it gonna impact all of the zones? Is it just gonna be the ones downtown?
Yeah.
And
Can someone provide us what zones specifically are impacted through this change in 3F? So it's zone 8?
3F is every zone.
Right. Well, give us a listing of them, and just so I know where they are. And
Sure.
so Councilman
Yeah.
Solomon?
Yes.
So that A, for the 15, 30, 60, whatever, the idea is great, but it's not practical. So I'm not recommending.
Right.
I have to. And
If there's-
also,
yeah.
parking authority don't have a
Right, the
system.
data to understand.
So
So what I would just say is, you know, if there's no support, we can withdraw it. But the one thing I would say is I think going forward, you know, as the city gets more and more dense and more crowded, you know, I think one of the realities is we're gonna have to start to pay more for parking, and I think the question is to think about how we do that.
Right.
But
It's just, there's so many people.
No, and I think that
And there's
that's
so
fair,
little
and
space.
it's everywhere.
So this is one version of that, but I think we can think about other ways to do it.
So, and another one, Councilman. So, the business parking permit,
Yeah.
daily for $5 for each permit, up to 5 permit. And we have complained to most homeowners and especially senior.
you're not changing them.
Yeah, that's current, that's the current
So
law,
5.
but yeah.
I like to change, amend to maybe 10, because
Right, okay.
the family have to go, when this, especially senior have a sick,
Right.
their family member keep coming every day, rotating. They say every week have to go to permit.
Right.
It's a really tough.
Yeah, right.
So they one of the says, councilman at least a 10,
Right.
so I don't have to go every week.
Sure.
Maybe twice a week, you know, we could go. So this one is a 5 permit.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense to me actually.
Sure.
So maybe 10, so we can, you know, take care of the seniors.
Yeah, I'm very happy for us to look at all these different fees.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of them are significantly, you know,
I agree.
less than
Yeah,
what
I agree, yeah.
the thing is worth, so. All right, we can, because we can withdraw 3F.
Okay.
We'll keep the G going, but I will, I think, come back to some other versions of
Also,
this.
too, before this goes, like, I would
Right.
like to have a community meeting with people who are
Right.
impacted zone
Understood.
areas, because
Yep.
zone parking is also
Yep,
very
understood.
contentious
Yeah.
over my me whenever.
Okay.
4A and B were touched on, 4C.
Did we do 3G?
Yeah, 3G is that.
Oh, I did already.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Go ahead.
4C, which is the designated 75 feet on the east side of Garfield Avenue, north of 55th Street, has no parking anytime. Any questions?
So now the 4G, Council President?
Which one?
4G, you know,
4G?
yeah, G like a George, 4G.
Okay.
Yeah. This one, they have my concern is that every project will get the tax abatement to have a PAC agreement. But as we know, just when we're closing those session, without any build up the financial penalty, you know, we're gonna face a lot of problem. Even though we put it there, every tax abatement put in the PAC for 5 years too. So
First thing, septic, they
This
should.
actually already pre-exists, is my understanding. It's-
Yeah, it's there, yeah. But still, we gotta come up some idea from the law department, some kind of financial penalty for the who violating PAC agreement, you know?
Okay, we're moving on.
Okay.
So we're done with second readings. Let's go to, we already talked in closed session, right? So 10A.
So 10A is a resolution approving the corrective action plan for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2017.
Just before you go there, 6 petition and the communication Z3, exchange place alliance SID finance state. Anybody received that? Yeah, petition and the communication Z3, exchange place alliance SID finance statement. Anybody received that? Our secretary.
You can request it. Just have to request from the clerk.
If you want a copy of that, I can email it to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Does the whole council want a copy? Or?
Yes, they should have a councilman. James Solomon should do that.
Sure.
Now,
That'd be great.
You got it. Okay. 10B is a resolution adopting the calendar year 2019 cash management plan for the city of Jersey City. 10C through F were taken care of earlier. Losing my words. 10G is a resolution authorizing the city of Jersey City to apply and accept the fiscal year 2019 Safe and Secure Communities Grant from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Criminal Justice. 10H and I were touched on. 10J we never received from the Law Department, which is a resolution authorizing execution of a memorandum of agreement between New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the City of Jersey City for the design and construction of the Rebuild by Design Hudson River project under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program.
Is that being withdrawn? I assume it's not here.
Yeah, we never got it, so.
Yeah, I don't think they ever came across it.
I remember that.
And if it's not an emergency, I think deferring it to the next meeting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just have it withdrawn for now.
That's fine, that's fine. Yeah.
Something changes, we can always change it for the meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, 10K is a resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by Cal Harbor 7 Leasing Associates LLC for the city's use of parking spaces located at 135 Green Street.
Is this the, I know this is for previous claims, but is this the one we're gonna try to look at the commuter parking for?
So we did,
Okay.
there aren't enough spaces on Columbus.
Okay.
Also, this is hopefully only gonna be for a few months.
Okay.
These vehicles are all gonna be moving to the annex when the building 2 is complete, which they're moving on it now. It's just a little bit of modifications on the inside, and hopefully it'll be, there's ample parking there now, there's enough office space, so hopefully they're gone in a couple of months, few months.
Okay, 10L through 10Q are withdrawn.
We're also gonna pull 10R.
10R.
It's not ready yet.
Okay.
10L through Q are withdrawn.
Actually, 10L through 10R are going to be withdrawn.
L through R, yep.
10S is a resolution authorizing the award of professional service contract with Strulich and Gargiulo for the provision of physical therapy services to city employees injured on the job. Not on your printed agenda, but on your newly printed agenda is 10T, a resolution ratifying and authorizing professional services agreement with the law firm Barrazo. If I'm butchering these names, please forgive me. Bromberg and Newman, PC, to serve as special counsel on behalf of the city of Jersey City in payroll tax litigation.
Can we get 10S? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing it. but-
Actually, you know what? Yeah, we did not get 10S from the law department. I apologize.
Okay, so Mark is withdrawn until we get it, that's fine.
So,
This is a renewal.
the council president?
Yeah.
And the business administrator, I have some concern about the City of Jersey City action plan, corrective action plan. This is some major my concern. If anybody read this one.
So we're talking about
10A.
10A.
Yeah.
We're going back to 10A.
Yeah, 10A. 10A.
10A is an apple.
Apple. You know, this is you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because of some issue continue year after year, especially my major issue is bank reconciliation have to be done almost every month. Even I do my book.
Yep.
You know, when I get the bank statement, I'm going to make sure which check is back, which check is outstanding. I do that. But City of Jersey spent $620 million. If we don't do that, and some case like 8 months behind, they clean their book, it's ruined. You know? So, if you not reconciliate that the checkbook and this, you know, every month, we don't even know what we pay. We don't even know what we don't pay. We don't even know what we overpay. You know, I look at the rest of it some concern, but this is a more serious concern to me. And the finance department, I don't know who is the charge of that. They gotta pay some.
Which one are you?
Who is it?
The 2017-02?
Yeah.
Okay, who's responsible for that?
So who is responsible? Really?
Maybe we shouldn't talk about the people directly, but
yeah.
The question is who?
Even we spend $100,000 in income, they do their checkbook every month.
Yeah. So, we'll get more information about this for you.
I mean, you know, instead of not contact with me, they should be shown this council.
Yeah.
They should be explained to us. Now, another one, this is bothering me so much that city is not in compliance with the state regulation constraint.
Tell us which finding.
Oh, you see, another one. You know, every page when you do that, give us some page numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so now.
Well, the finding number, yeah.
So here you go. Oh, you got it. It's a little page. So what do we have to say?
So it's the finding numbers 2017-004.
That's the only one? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, finding number is 2017-004. So now, unfinanced cost totaling $30 million for capital project over 5 years old remain the city the book and consist of 11 million. Those kind of things, you know, I'm not happy to see. Yes, 2017-04.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
So those kind of things, so we
Councilman
should
Hughes
be.
pointed this out repeatedly.
Yeah.
So we're not spending now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those kind of things, when I see that, I don't know, I cannot find a good word. When I see that, seems like they don't know what they're doing. So I don't want to say that, but you know, that's what I show to us. But thank God there were no point of the legal department, so they're off the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But please, so as some issues continue repeating every year after year, then because I want you to be top of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right? So done is done, so what can we do? And these things happened 2016. So I want to see when next year, when we go to 17, 18, to really some problem, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Peter, back to 10T.
Yeah. As you see, this is the resolution for the retaining of outside counsel to represent the city in its defense of the payroll tax litigation, which we all know about. As we know, this is a summary proceeding. It's been given a very short date by Judge Bariso, who's the assignment judge of the county. We have an argument date of February 15th in this matter. Our briefs are, at this point on the matter, are currently due a week from today on Monday the 14th. We had to act quickly to find outside counsel. We were very fortunate to find the Porzio firm, which is one of the best firms in the state, that was willing to give us their normal municipal rate of $195 per hour. Although that is in excess of the standard rate for outside counsel for the city. As I said, this is their normal municipal rate that they charge to other municipalities around the state. Additionally, we made the effort to retain firms that were at our normal rates, and were not able to find any firms that were willing to take that price. Part of the difficulty here was simply the fact that due to the large number of plaintiffs, most of the firms that we typically have worked with were conflicted out of the litigation. We received two offers to accept the case. The Porzios offer, their bid essentially, although it was not a bid, was the lower of the two. They have begun work already simply because of the very short timeline that was set by Judge Bariso. And as I stated, this is a summary proceeding. We anticipate that the judge will be issuing a final ruling on the suit that was filed by the various plaintiffs. I would say by April at the absolute latest. So we do have a fairly limited window of time here. This is not going to be something that, in the initial phase at least, drags on for a period of months or years. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, how come, I've been asking this question for 5 years, one of our attorneys upstairs can't do this?
If this helps you by way of comparison, the Porzio firms assigned 3 attorneys to work on this case, which is going to be necessary based on the time and the level of expertise.
So we're talking about probably 60, 70, 100,000, 150,000.
I don't think
3 times 195, and you said 3 attorneys, right?
I would say they've assigned 3 attorneys. I'd say it looks like there's 1 senior attorney and 2 junior attorneys who are working on this.
So each one's going to charge 195 an hour, right?
Correct. Now, and this is the kind of, where if we were to apply a similar level of, I would say, manpower to this, then the law department would have to send out more of its, standard cases, standard liability cases, because we would not have the bandwidth to handle this, and that would essentially be a displacement of money one way or the other.
We spend millions every year on outside attorneys. Why don't we just hire 2 or 3 more attorneys and save all this money?
And that's always a possibility. I'd say
something that's fairly specialized, right?
This is extremely specialized, and arguably this may be one of the more. This is something that could impact tens of millions of dollars in funding for schools, and we deem that to be something that would justify retaining outside counsel.
So, Corporate Counsel, don't worry about the money, because it's still whatever we pay the best lawyer in the world, to fight to protect the schools. 90 million, 75, so it's worse to invest it. I'm not looking at it as we spending for the lawyer, I look at it as investing. So now, my next question is that, what is our payroll tax different than Newark, City of Newark?
How is the payroll tax different?
Yes, our payroll tax and the City of Newark, what is the difference between?
What are the differences there as far as?
It's dedicated to the schools.
Yeah, what they do with the revenue.
I'm sorry?
We are not allowed to do anything with the revenue. We just put it in a trust fund and give it to the schools. Newark, the city keeps a portion of the revenue.
So they keep the portion of that there.
Yeah.
So worst case, we lost it.
Yeah.
Then we amend the state statute, portion of money, reject something like a City of Newark, the city keep it.
Well, that's not what they're challenging.
Right. No, we know that.
They're challenging the whole state statute that enables it too, not just our ordinance.
Yeah. Right. So if it happen, City of Newark has a problem too? They have payroll tax.
It's only a problem if it gets challenged.
Correct.
So where do we tell? But we're talking about the.
Well, we're found in the
We did what the state told us to do. We really have to find that the state's statute enabling us is unconstitutional.
The only thing I say is, I trust your judgment. It's a very high stakes litigation. So if you feel confident that these are the right people, it's important we win.
No. I think frankly, I was extremely pleased when we were able to hire this firm.
Yeah.
I think they're one of the. If you look at them, they're one of the best firms in the state.
So can I say that fight till less blood to make sure we protect our public school by funding by payroll tax.
I feel good at that.
Good. Like the Untouchables. Never stop fighting till the fight is done. What? Stop fighting till the fight is done.
So 10U, is that going to be necessary?
Withdrawn.
I guess that's withdrawn, yeah.
So we're gonna withdraw, and then the
Nothing in this agenda.
items that are gonna be coming from courtesy for the Persian pool.
Yeah, there's gonna be a couple of first.
4 resolutions that are coming our way. All right, so without hearing anything else, may I have a motion to adjourn at 8:34 p.m.? Motion by Prinzary, seconded by Councilperson Solomon. All in favor of the adjournment, please say aye. Aye. We are out of here. 8:34.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.